Who was? What did that? Was that a TikTok thing or that started on TikTok, right? Not start on TikTok, but it
Mm,
got popular on TikTok.
I don't know where it started or got popular. It might have started on TikTok. I'm not sure, to be honest.
Like this
TBH,
thing is a is
TBH.
a is a sports thing,
That's
but
from basketball. Yeah.
right, yeah, ice in my veins.
Um, but I'm not 100% sure where that started. Probably maybe TikTok. I mean, a lot of dances did start on TikTok. So
Yeah,
you
TikTok
know,
has gone through some crazy. Remember the fucking was it the dolphin one? That was
hmm
some TikTok dances. It's out of control. I'm like, this is a ridiculous dance.
Well, I mean, is that any different than like
The
the
washing
mashed
machine,
potato?
right? Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm sure there's someone who's like the mashed potato is just wild.
it
Why
it
are we mashing
was
potato?
it was. What was
The
this one?
Cabbage
The
Patch,
sprinkler.
the sprinkler, the Cabbage Patch. You know the Cabbage Patch.
What's the Cabbage Patch? Oh yeah, the Cabbage Patch. Why is that Cabbage Patch? I don't understand. Is that how you
I mean,
fucking plow a Cabbage Patch field?
I don't really know the etymology behind the Cabbage Patch dance, um, or the history of why they named it that, but
But I think
I do like them.
etymologies for words, not for a dance.
No, but I mean the naming of something could also be etymology, I believe. Like, why is it
Etymologist.
called that? I believe that the naming of something could be the history of that. I mean, it's not like Cabbage Patch isn't a word
This is true. This is
or a
true.
euphemism. I don't know if etymology works for the naming of things as well.
Actually, when you had high school dances or middle school, whatever, I'm assuming the answer is yes to this. I think it's just a or not just a school thing. But the kids like grind on each other like we in New York we used to call it dubbing. They all used to like grind on each other at school dance like really slow, and teachers had to like separate kids.
hmm
Work. Yeah, ours we did it. We didn't really get separated though. Like kids would be like that, and if it was going on for like too long, then I think there's some type of separation. But for like a minute or two, it was fine.
Yeah, you weren't. I mean, you weren't allowed to do. You had to sneak it in if you're going to do it, and it was we did not call it dubbing for sure.
What did y'all call it?
Um,
Grinding.
just grinding, or just you weren't allowed to have that close of contact. So you would gather around in big circles, and then the circles would protect the people in the middle who were grinding. So that it would take the teachers a long time to get through, so that the two in the middle could grind longer. And it was usually twerking. It
Side note,
wasn't like
that's also what happens
side note.
when you're sucking dick on the dance floor now.
Excuse me.
Like, I feel like if you're at a club and somebody's sucking dick, everyone like circles around them. Not that I'm out there
Like some
sucking
people.
dick, but that's the behavior I've witnessed.
Dick, that sounds like a
Like
personal
you're out
story.
there. It sounds like you're at hot dog sucking dicks
I'm not. That's
on the
not my
dance
that's
floor.
not my fantasy, but we've all been there. Not by been there, I mean
Not.
seeing it. I don't
I
do
have
that.
I have never sucked a dick on a dance floor. Literally never. I've
Jacob,
But
you've
never
you
never sucked a
done.
dick
but you've seen
in
people
public,
sucking dick
Jacob.
on dance floor.
No, I haven't
I have
actually.
not. That's not
I've I've never seen someone suck a dick on a dance floor. I mean,
that's
there was
stressful
that
to me.
guy who Bob. I mean, I'm sure you know. There's that guy. I'm not gonna say his name, Doc or whatever, but that guy, he would be at industry bar and he would always be getting his dick sucked on that red couch in the corner. And Cole or
The
Chris,
actor.
the actor, they would
The
always have to kick
actor.
him out
Yep.
because he was getting his dick
Yep.
sucked.
Or he would flash people in the bathroom a lot too.
I never saw it. Was it good? Was it worth it? Had to have been.
I never saw it either, but I know that he was always getting kicked out for flashing people, for like wagging his dick, showing his dick outside. I've never seen his penis because I was always doing the show. You know what I mean?
So it's something he's very proud of. Good for him.
Well, I don't know if it's necessarily proud of. Like, I don't know if that necessarily means that you have a whatever penis, but some people are just voyeurs in general. He seems to be a bit. Obviously, he's a bit voyeuristic.
Very. Have you ever had any voyeur tendencies? Like, have you ever wanted to?
Yeah, I fuck in public.
You what?
I've hooked up in public.
No, that's exhibitionism. But voyeurism is so. Well, did you
Oh
hook
no,
up?
you're right. You're right. I guess sorry. You're right. That guy was he was an exhibitionist.
I mean,
Do I
voyeur too,
watch
because
people?
you like people watching him. If you're getting your dick sucked
No,
and
I
they
think
tag
voyeur
along,
means you watch. I think voyeur means you watch, and an exhibitionist means you show.
you show. Okay, yeah.
I think.
Yeah, I've never been inclined to either. I mean, I have hooked up in public, but not because I wanted to. Like, if I had my choice, it would not be in public, but I didn't have a place to go, so I would just did it in public. Like if you cruise someone on the train or something like that.
I've watched people hook up before, and I like it. It's great. And
Yeah.
I'm a bit of a voyeur and a bit of an exhibitionist.
Yeah, I would want to be involved. I don't think I've ever said. I mean, maybe like back in the day when I used to go to like bathhouses, whatever, pre Drag Race. But I wouldn't ever because sometimes at bathhouses like you're there and like there are some people hooking up and people just watching and jerking off, and I've never been that girl. I'm like, but I'm gonna find my own.
You've been to bathhouses post Drag Race.
Only one post Drag Race when I went to PV. It was only one. I promise. I've only been to one post Drag Race, and that was the story I told you about that one.
Okay.
Why would I lie about that?
I need to run the numbers on this. Monet, I don't think you're lying. Sometimes I think you believe it.
Well, I've only been to one in PV, and with that crazy story I told you that I
I
would
feel
never.
like you've been.
I hear you.
I feel like you've been to
but in
Wii
terms
Spa.
of
We Spa is not. I have been to We Spa like multiple times. We Spa is not a bathhouse. That's Century City. Century City is like the fucking hookah zone. We Spa people are genuinely there, like spying. Have you?
Girl, Crunch is
Wait,
a
hold
bath.
on, hold on.
Girl, Crunch.
Jacob, have you hooked up at We
Girl,
Spa?
Crunch WeHo is a bathhouse. Okay.
I'm telling you, We Spa is not a hookup place. That does not happen there. Jacob, have you had that experience at We Spa?
I've never been to Wii Spa. I've been to Century
Okay.
Spa, but I haven't been to Wii Spa. But I just assumed it was the same vibe.
No. Century.
I'm starting to think
Go
that
ahead.
Jacob is sucking dick on the dance floor and getting a scrubby W at Wee Spa. That's the notion I'm starting to get.
Yeah. We Spa is not that girl. So y'all, We Spa is a Korean spa here in LA. They have like a clay room, a mud room, an ice room, and all that stuff. And then the whole bottom is like these 3 jacuzzis, there's
A
saunas.
jerk room, a bottoming room, a topping room, a dick sucking room.
I've never been to Century City though, which I heard they closed that down. Because that was like crazy. Apparently, but I've never been. I wouldn't have fun at a bathhouse post Drag Race. Also, I'm just not into that anymore at this point in my life. Maybe later on I will be, but right now I'm not. I'm just not into going to a bathhouse currently in my current position.
Well, you're very not into that. I guess you're just you're
Nigga, you having a stroke, motherfucker? What the fuck is wrong with you?
maybe you're in your modesty era, or maybe you're in your toned down era. Maybe you're in
That's
you're
what
in
it is.
your
It's the energy of people knowing you because it's a gay space, right? So obviously, like we get recognized a lot more so in gay spaces than sometimes non-queer spaces. So at a fucking gay bathhouse, bitch, majority of people are going to recognize you. And then it's just so you're dealing with that. And then someone like I went to Black's Beach recently, and I would just walk where there are gays who are scantily clad. There's going to be a secret hookup place in the jungle, in the woods somewhere. So
like Wee Spa.
So Black's Beach is this beach in San Diego, and the gays. First of all, we park ourselves as far away from everyone as possible. So you have to walk like a mile down the beach to the gay section, and then behind the gay section there are they're not really the woods, but like brush and stuff like on the beach, like behind where the gay spot is, and dudes go there to hook up. So me and a friend, we like walking through, just like walk through, and the amount of like, oh hey girl, bitch, what are you doing here? Like, I just don't want that energy if I'm going to be doing that. And so like the idea of that happening multiple times in a bathhouse where I'm in a fucking 4-floor place specifically just to hook up, and that is happening multiple times, that's so annoying.
I hate when you go somewhere and people go, "What are you doing here?"
Bitch, what are you doing?
I just don't get that question. I get it all the time. What are you doing here? And I'm like,
I'm at Ralph's. I'm here for
what am I
bananas, girl.
what am I doing at this McDonald's? I'm ordering food and I'm gonna eat it. I could be anywhere. What do you? I remember one time I was just standing on the streets of New York City. Someone said, "What are you doing here?" And I was like, I'm on this. You want me to tell you where I'm going? Like, it's a very, and I get that people are caught off guard to see us, but I get it. That makes sense because you weren't expecting to see Bob the Drag Queen today. But what are you doing here is just such a weird question to ask someone, in my opinion.
It is.
Especially a stranger, essentially a stranger. Why are you? By the way, what are you doing there? Why are you sitting there?
Bitch, I'm recording a podcast.
No, but why are you sitting? Why are you sitting in this spot?
I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later. Anyway, so that's why going to PB felt a little. There was less pressure of that because there really was. No one really had recognized me. Also, Spartacus and PB, if anyone has ever been, it's very. I don't know how it is now, but back in 2017, 18, it was very dimly lit. Like when I tell you, it's like so dark. It's like really not hard to see, but other ones like Steamworks and stuff in Chicago and in Edmonton and shit. Oh no, you're right. I did pop into the one in Edmonton. I did go to that, and that was like there was like the average age was like 97. I was like, I'm out. I went for like 2 seconds and I left. I did do that. That is the one I went to. But like Steamworks are.
Yeah, that's what I said. I don't think you be lying. I think you believe it. That's what I was saying.
I forgot.
I don't think you're always lying. I think you just believe it. You be like, yeah. Like just like with the ugly wigs, with the ugly wigs, you were like, you really believed it.
Well, I kind of blocked Edmonton out because it was so bleak and sad in there. It was a sad state of affairs. It was a sad. I was like, I stayed for like 5 minutes. I was like, I cannot stay here. I feel sad being here, and I just boogied
because they're old.
But it was just like not just old, but they were just, you can tell they've been there for a long, you can tell the dudes that have been at the bathhouse for a long time, they're sitting in the same spot and they have their towel covering themselves and they're like, you walk in and you're like freshman, they're just like, I was just like, I didn't like it. So I bounced.
Do you think that one day when you get old, you think people are going to look at you and feel sad for you?
For sure. Probably.
I don't like that notion.
I think it's gonna happen. I don't think that everyone will. I'm sure.
I mean, I'm sure people will look at you and be sad, or will look at me and be sad, or whatever. I just hate the idea that people are just like sad, just looking at you and they're just like, ugh. I'm so sure sad.
I'm sure some people maybe look at Oprah and be like, oh, she's sad because she's old. Like I'm sure some kids are like that because they just can't fathom ever being that old.
Why'd you choose Oprah of all people?
Because she's someone who is really powerful and has a lot of reasons to be happy at face value because she has like a lot going for her.
Yeah,
but I'm sure some.
It was Oprah was such a random. I was like, she's not that old. Like it was such a random choice to choose Oprah of all people.
Well, yeah, and I just think some people will probably look at her and be like, oh, she's old, but she has. I mean, go off. Because I mean, we talked about this before. Like as a kid, you just don't fathom ever getting old. Like you're like, I'm gonna be this forever. Like I'm going to be this young person forever. And then when it starts to happen, you're like, oh,
I just try to. I don't want to be the kind of person who looks at old people and thinks that they're sad because they're old. Because hopefully one day I will be old. I hope I live that long. You know what I mean?
You said you don't want to live long. Now you want to live long?
No, I said long enough to be old. I don't want to die before I'm old. I said I don't want to live too long, but I do want to become at least 70. I don't want to die in my 50s.
Yeah, dying at 50. Yeah, I would. Well, I mean, they did like I think like last week or something. The new estimate is like in 50 years, or I think it was 50 years. The average age, like people are gonna start to live older. Like it's moving up. Like people are saying like going to like 110s and 120s easily, which seems.
So how old are the people at this bathhouse?
I don't know. If I had to guess, okay, let's take a break and I'll tell you about them when we get back. Okay, we're back. If I don't know. If I had to guess, I would say maybe like around. They felt to be like in their like 70s. If I had to guess, like 75-ish. Which again,
Okay.
but it's not. It wasn't the old part. It
The
was.
average age was 70?
I'm telling you, yes, in Edmonton, California, and Edmonton, Canada. And again, it's not the old thing. It was just like the walk into the thing, and you know they've been there for hours and just sitting there, just like stroke. It was just like I don't want to feel like that.
Is Edmonton in Alberta? Is Alberta?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edmonton. Is it Alberta? Yeah. Oh, work. I ate that.
I
Isn't
told
it
you.
weird
I
that we
literally
don't
said yes.
say? I know, but I was just verifying. It wasn't about. It had nothing to do with you. It had very little to do with you, actually. Isn't it weird that we don't say like Edmonton, Alberta? We say Edmonton, Canada. We say Paris, France, but we don't say Texas, USA.
Because I think, I
We say
mean,
city, country, but in America we say city, state.
yeah.
Sydney, Australia.
We don't say Sydney, New South Wales. We just say Sydney.
Yeah. So why in America? Because I feel like almost every other city in the world, especially the major cities, we say city, country.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I don't know.
Austin, Texas. Eventually, they're like Austin, USA.
Also,
Atlanta, USA.
I think it's because also, I mean, I think it's because America is just so big. Like we
So
have,
is Australia. Australia's about the same size as America.
yeah, but the
Russia's even bigger.
population is way small. Like we have more people in these states than Australia does in
The
their states.
population in Russia is not small.
No, not in Russia. And I'm talking about Australia.
But I'm saying if it's about population, why isn't Russia or China? I mean, Russia is about a little less than half the population of America.
So we're half the size of us. In China, maybe in China they do. In China they do. In China they do. They say they'll say the city.
Wuhan, China.
Is
I've heard
Wuhan
Wuhan, China.
is Wuhan the state or is it the city though?
Wuhan's a city, a town. Wuhan's a small
Right.
town.
So it's
Actually, I
kind
don't
of
think
like
Wuhan's
saying Brooklyn, New York.
no, that's Wuhan, China. Beijing, China.
Does China have states or are they all just cities?
I'm sure they must have territories or states. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Does China have provinces? Provinces, I mean. China has 23 provinces.
Got it. They have half the amount of us. And also, Canada has like 5. They have 4. They have Victoria, Alberta, Calgary, Quebec, and something else. So they only have 5. I don't know. And the U.S. we have 50. We have 50 provinces and states. I mean, because we have so many, it is easier to identify that way.
Maybe. I don't know. It's just something. It's something I've never really thought about until.
Because in Africa, we just say the country. On the continent of Africa, we just state the countries, and I think so. It's also
we also name the towns. We just say we say Nairobi, and we say,
you rarely hear people say Cape Town, South Africa. They'll say Cape Town, to Johannesburg, or they'll just say they'll just say like you said, Nairobi. I rarely hear people say the country as well. They just say the city.
Well, I feel like people will say like Sydney. Like people say Sydney. Maybe it's because where Nairobi, like Nairobi is Nairobi, and Beijing is Beijing. You don't have to say Beijing, China. You can just say Nairobi, and everyone knows you're talking about Nairobi. But I feel like I've heard Cape Town. I've heard Cape Town, South Africa for sure.
Yeah, maybe I have too.
For sure.
Yeah. What was I gonna say to you? I forgot what I was gonna say. Bob, have you ever encountered a narcissist?
I don't know. I might be a narcissist for all I know.
I think as an entertainer, especially, there is an ounce of narcissism that is in you about your craft, about your work, because you are your work. Like, you're a direct reflection of what your work is. So I feel like to be an artist, there is some narcissism in that. And I don't But I think that especially in like the past 5 years, narcissism has become this like negative thing. Oh, he's narcissistic and toxic. Like we have lumped narcissism into to being innately a negative trait when I don't think it
You think
always
it's like a
is.
last 5 years thing?
I feel so. I feel like with more people going through therapy and more people doing the mental work and identifying toxic behaviors that have caused them pain and suffering, whether it be with parents or partners or lovers, whatever. I think that word has become has been circling the zeitgeist more, and people use that word to identify like toxic things about people and why someone is a
Jacob,
bad
could you
person.
look up the Google Trends for the word narcissist? I forgot how to look up Google Trends, but that is an interesting notion. I had never considered that, but I forgot how to look up Google Trends. It's really interesting to
I'm,
see when words get Googled more, though.
I'm gonna let's define narcissism
Are
really
you
quick.
typing it up?
Yeah. So narcissism is a narcissistic personality disorder is a mental health condition in which people have an unreasonably high sense of their own importance. They need and seek too much attention and want people to admire them. People with this disorder may lack the ability to understand or care about the feelings of others. So I think I get that's narcissistic personality disorder. This just narcissism, the definition is personality qualities include thinking very highly of oneself, needing admiration, believing others are inferior, and lacking empathy for others. Okay, so I mean, I think I have traits of narcissism as in when people experience my art, I want them to think very highly of it. I want them to think it was very good. Need, but I don't think other people are inferior. And in fact, feel that I'm very empathetic. So I think there are parts of narcissism that artists have. But do you feel that do you identify with any of the quality traits of narcissism?
Some, but not all. And I don't think that people are inferior. Um, to me, I think that, well, to a degree, I mean, I think that I am better at certain things than some people are, but I don't think that constitutes the term inferior. I just think
Right.
there are some things that I'm better at than some people, and I think there's something that I'm worse at than some people too.
Yeah.
You
Yeah, I
know.
would agree.
Wait, Jacob, did you find anything on the Google Trends of the word narcissism or narcissist?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Google Trends isn't really what you're looking for. Isn't super helpful because it doesn't have data going back for a long time. So there's something called the Google Ngram Books Viewer, which looks at the words in books that are written and published. So I do have that data, and it looks like there's a pretty sharp uptake in like starting in 1970. I could just pull up. Let me pull up the.
But there's not
Pull up
like
my
a
graph.
doesn't Google show like when words get Googled a lot? That's not a thing.
It does, but like they don't have a lot of data going back that long. So like
Got it.
it's gonna you can search for in the past 10 years, but in the past 10 years it's about the same because I feel like narcissism in our conversation has been around that long.
So what is this spike in 2020 when it gets really high here?
Wait, is this the right one? No, here we are. Okay, so
That
here
was
we
Jacob
are. This
googling.
is where we are.
That was Jacob googling sucking dick on the dance floor.
You got me. 1970, you can see it has a little uptick here, and then it
Scroll up,
plateaus
Jacob.
from like 19.
Yeah, we can't see the years.
Oh,
Scroll up.
Also, you just have
Ain't
it
no
from
need to double tap.
1820.
Nigga, scroll up.
You have it from August 2013 to September.
oh, sorry. I might here. This is the one I wanted to be sharing.
Oh, okay.
All right. So as you can see, it starts really going up like right here around 1970. And then once we hit 1980, between 1982 and like 2000, it kind of plateaus and then it starts shooting back up again to its height, which was used in, it looks like, right around 2015.
Word.
Interesting. That is all. So that's about what 10 years ago, or no, 8 years ago. I'm not good at math. I'm intrigued by these findings. Jacob, can you mute? That's really interesting to me. I mean, I don't know that I am a narcissist, or to be honest, now that I'm realizing we're talking about this, I don't even know that I've ever actually met a narcissist. I mean, maybe I have. I just haven't given that much thought into diagnosing the people who I meet. You know what I mean?
You never met one drag queen who you're like, this girl is a narcissist?
Let me read the definition again. I
I
think I've
love
just never thought about it in terms of that.
I love Violet Chachki very much, but reading the definition of narcissism, Violet has just a skosh of narcissism in her. Violet would literally look at someone else and be like, terrible, I hate it. But why are they plastic stones? Like, you couldn't afford crystals? Interesting. Like, I mean, and sometimes it's all in lighthearted fun, but there is definitely, and I don't think Violet has a whole. Actually, that's not true. When you get Violet one-on-one, she is pretty empathetic. But
yeah, I don't think that Violet lacks the ability to understand and care about people's feelings. I think that's probably a big part of that's a really important part of the definition of narcissism, right?
Yeah, I would agree. I don't know Violet the other day. We went out to get drinks and she was fucking cracking me up. We were talking about I'm gonna say the name Jay and bleep it Amelia as well. We're talking about and she was like, but it wasn't fully stoned. And I was like, well, I don't think they wanted to be like, they wanted to give it. She's like, no. She was like, they couldn't, they didn't have enough time to finish it. I was like, for this person, people have been moving hell and high water. I was like, I'm sure they would have. She's like, no. She's like, they had to do it like that because they couldn't do the whole thing. I was like, she just warned at a later.
I want to say that Violet's not wrong. Violet's not wrong. I'm not saying about that specific outfit, but when you're at that level, people still run out of time. I can guarantee you that even at this level, in the Met Gala and Broadway, and people still run out of time, especially if you're getting like they know what like are you asking them to leave out?
Yeah, I mean, just because I don't know if Violet, I don't want like any, I don't know if design, I don't want to I don't know if that will like get someone upset in her face. I don't know. So that's what I would, not that I care.
Yeah,
I just don't know. Yeah.
Well, if you don't want to talk about it, I can't contribute to the conversation.
I don't want to get in trouble with her fashion connections or whatever. I don't fucking know.
Well, then, we should move on.
Wow, that was so narcissistic of you. Just because it's not about you.
Well, I don't know how to hold the conversation without saying any names of anyone.
Well, you can give us an example.
So you want me to give an example of someone else?
Yeah,
but you don't want to say this person's name.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on.
Wow, this is very narcissistic. Okay, go ahead. What are you gonna say?
And to be honest, I gotta be honest, I don't think I have a lot to contribute to the conversation. I don't think I've ever met a narcissist, and I don't think I am a narcissist. And I mean, I guess I can think of what I would do if I met a narcissist. But I see a lot of people on TikTok talking about being raised by narcissistic parents. Yeah. I see that a lot, which doesn't feel, it seems pretty rough.
Like your parent has no empathy for you. That's wild. That sounds.
I don't think it's necessarily just for you, but just for people. I don't think that a narcissist. Again, I'm not an armchair psychiatrist, but I think that sometimes narcissists have a hard time envisioning, or having sympathy and empathy and understanding the feelings of like certain people. But I don't think it means that that's the case for every single person.
Well, I assume if you had a hard time with a parent that is that way, you probably felt that. Like the reason why that's hard for you is because you experienced that. So if someone said, it was,
or maybe you watched it, maybe you watched the way your parents respond to other people. Maybe you watching your parents have no understanding of the feelings of people around you or your friends. You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure. But like, yeah. So I'm saying like, if that's like your thing or that's something that you experience, I'm sure that there's a lot tethered to how it affected you and seeing your parent behave that way with their lack of empathy or small diminished feelings of others, thinking other people are inferior. Like maybe I'm sure you felt some of that, or you saw it really close, or it really made you feel bad. And it's hard to live with.
Yeah, I imagine it's rough to have a parent who is like a diagnosed or understood narcissist. That seems like it'd probably be really hard. And there just seems to be a lot of it on TikTok. Or maybe that's just, obviously I know that's called a For You page. Which I don't know why I'm on that side of TikTok, because I have a great relationship. I'll tell you about why I'm on that side of TikTok in a second.
And we're back. Well, you know where the word I think is derived from that Greek god, Narcissus or
Narcissus. No, Narcissus.
His name was Narcissus?
His name was Narcissus, yeah.
Oh.
Bob
And he wasn't a
Esponja.
Greek god. He's just a guy who fell in love with his own reflection. He was like looking at himself and was like, man, I look good. And he just fell in love with his own reflection, looking in the
Okay.
water.
No,
So,
y'all are wrong. His name is Narcissus. I knew I was right.
his name was Narcissus. He was a really hot guy. He was super
I said
hot.
Narcissus. I said
He
Narcissus.
It's not
he
Narcissus.
was
It's Narcissus.
Monet is
Okay,
actually correct.
air and ear.
But it's about the same.
And
He was a really hot guy. Some nymph who's she's like a fairy. She fell in love with him, but he was mean to her. He rejected her. And then she went back to Aphrodite, the goddess of love. And Aphrodite was like, no, you don't fuck with my nymphs. And she made him fall in love with his reflection. And then he, I think, like drowned in a pool trying to make out with himself or something. But I don't know if that part's real.
You know, a lot of my knowledge of Greek gods is literally from Hercules. And the Hercules and Xena live action series, and also the Hercules animated movie. Like, that's like all of my knowledge of Greek gods and all that stuff is all from there. That's because I don't really feel like I learned a lot in school about Greek mythology. Did you? I know we did a unit on it.
I learned a lot. I learned a lot about Greek mythology. It kind of went one ear and out the other, though. Jacob, though, however, loves Greek mythology, and Miss Thing is always up in some Greek mythology. Jacob be in these Greek mythology streets, and I have I think a decent understanding, but not a terribly intense one. I also did a little bit of Greek theater, in college and in high school, that has stuck with me as well.
Greek theater. Come on, Greek theater. And then you have the Greek gods, and you have the Roman gods, and they have like different names, but it's the same people with the same powers. I'm like, it's too much. You have Zeus, you have Jupiter. I'm like, girl, too much.
Yeah, but I mean,
I mean, it's just like,
watch your mouth. Have you ever
it's
heard that
just like,
expression?
Muslim and Christian and they're talking about the same guy, just different names, pretty much.
Kinda. Well, no, I don't know that I can say that Islam and Christianity are necessarily having the same conversation
They have the same character.
in Judaism.
That's what I'm trying to say.
I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Islam, Judaism, and Christianity.
Christianity and Judaism more so, and Islam is a little far removed.
I don't know if that's the case either, because Christianity is more of like a second, like a part two to Judaism. So the first episode of Christianity, season one of Christianity and Judaism are the same thing, but then there's a season 2 with new characters, new storylines. They're going to new places. Season 2 went bananas. They had this new main character. It went wild. Whereas I would say there are religions like Egyptian religions that tell literally the same story as Christianity, with like baptism, virgin birth, Holy Trinity, the whole 9 yards. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you feel about yourself? Have you seen those things on TikTok where they say, "How would you rate yourself?" And the people rate themselves, and they say, "Do you think people would agree?" And they take a picture of them and they show the next person.
No, I haven't seen that.
So basically, they run to you and go, "Monet, how do you rate yourself?" And what would you say?
I would give me an 8.
And then they'll go, "Do you think people agree?"
I'm gonna say yes.
All right. And then they click a picture of you, and they just go and just show a random person on the street your picture, and they ask them to rate you.
Ew, I hate that.
And almost every time, the people do not agree. But the funny part is but then once that person rates the person, and they go, "Okay, so what are you? How do you rate yourself?" And they're like, "Nah," like they'll show the picture and they'll be like, what do you rate this girl?" And they'll be like, "Man, that girl like a fucking toad. That girl ugly as fuck, man." And they go, "What are you?" And the guy's like, "Nah, I'm a 10." And they go, "Okay." And so it's interesting how people have this really inflated version of their own self-worth, but when they see strangers on the street, they have a lot less
empathy.
They don't grade on a curve anymore all of a sudden.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. How would you rate yourself?
I don't know, like a 6 or 7 or something, probably.
Okay. Jacob, How do you rate this guy in this box here?
You or Bob?
Bob.
I'm gonna rate him a 10 out of 10.
Okay, great. So so Bob, so we have the feedback, and you actually rank higher than you rated yourself.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's good news. I'm so happy to hear that.
What about Bob? How would you rate your co-host?
Monet's like Monet's like an 8.
What about in drag?
Well, which picture?
Her looking like dream girls behind stage at the opera.
Oh, well, it was like a 9.5.
What would have made it a 10? What's the point
right?
five
Thank you,
deduction
Jacob.
for?
Damn.
Well, I'll look at the picture. I mean, I'll look at the picture.
The
You mean when she
body's
was like
right,
Shirley
the hair
Ralph?
is right.
Okay, first of all bodies are right. Let's just go ahead and make
I'm
that
talking about
clear.
for me.
Well, we're talking about my barometer.
Oh, you're so shady. You hate me.
You're asking me to judge. Y'all are literally asking me to judge, and then
You hate
not
me.
liking.
I'm so
Okay.
angry.
I don't hate you. Why would I hate you?
It's clear.
Jacob
has it pulled up.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, I'm looking at close up. It's a pretty good picture. Maybe I would do smaller earrings. You know, I don't really like big giant earrings.
I don't either, but Nova Star from Fierce Jack Jewels, she gifted me those earrings around the finale of season 10. And I was just like, just cuz, and I've never worn them. And I was like, I feel like I would never wear big drag queen earrings like that, but I wore this outfit because the stones match perfectly. And I was kind of like, oh my God, I love big drag jewelry. Not all the time, but this specific instance, I was like, this is kind of fun to wear this big, crazy drag jewelry.
I do like a big necklace. For me, it's just when it comes to earrings. I just don't love a giant earring. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also bracelets. So when I say I like a big necklace, not when it goes up the neck, but when it goes down the neck. Going up the neck makes your neck look short. Going down the neck can make you look longer and more elongated. And I don't love thick bracelets.
Do you like dudes with thick necks?
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure I've liked a guy with a thick neck before. Typically, I prefer a long neck.
Work.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You like thick necks, apparently.
No, not really. But there was this guy he's in New York. He's this really hot dude. And in pandemic, he got really, and his neck, because
Like buff or fat?
buff. And his neck,
Okay.
I mean, looked like it almost doubled in size. And to me, that doesn't look. Before, I thought he was perfection. Like he was like an average, whatever. And then, but after he got super buff, his neck doubled in size. It looks kind of wild. But some people really, I mean, some dudes, a lot of dudes, a lot of the circuit queens love that aesthetic, that look, that buff dudes that look like a fire hydrant.
Fire. I've never heard anyone
Fire hydrant dudes. Just
That's
short,
so
stocky, beefy, fire hydrant boys.
You know, I want to say I feel like every once in a while I get some flack from certain fans on the podcast because they think that I'm always trying to be PC. And I just want to say that a reason why I say stuff like, all bodies are valid is not because I'm trying to avoid any cancellation. It's genuinely because I've done a lot of work on myself and the value that we place on bodies. And I think people think that I'm just out here trying to be I'm just trying to be PC. When the truth is, I've done a lot of work on myself. It occurred to me very recently, maybe in the past year, that in my 20s, I was fully anorexic. But I thought I wasn't. Do what?
Because were you actively making choices to be anorexic and you just wasn't calling it that?
I was choosing to not eat for days at a time. You were there for some of these, and I would call it juicing, or I would call it fasting, or I would be trying to lose weight. And I would say that the fact that I would juice, probably at least once a month, if not every other month, which is kind of crazy. And I was just like, no, girl, I wasn't anorexic. I was juicing. And it recently occurred to me, I was like, no, girl, that's a, that it's an eating, that is an eating disorder for me.
Got it. The pressed juicery, they have them around the country now. They're a lot in LA. And they do a thing. It's like a 3-day or a 10, or I don't think there's a 10-day. Maybe I'm ODing. But I think it's a 3-day, maybe 5-day cleanse where you just drink juice. And people do it like periodically to kind of like cleanse their body of like a lot of toxins. Like if you're like planning on switching your diet over to being vegetarian or you're going to be vegan, like you like do this cleanse prescribed by them. Well, not prescribed. I'm not saying prescribed, but they offer a 3-day cleanse and they send you all the juice for the time to only drink juice for that time. And I know people that do it. I mean, I guess I didn't associate that with anorexia, but you're saying for you, like the way you, for you it was, but I don't think, because then I don't think Press Juicer will be able to sell that,
So
right?
to clarify, Press doesn't do 3 days. They do 1 day and they do half days, but they have different versions of the 1 day. So they have a 1 day one that's like thicker, like smoothies, and then they have like an advanced one that's just green juice.
So I
So
want to
I don't
read
think they
something from
do
Health.
3 days. I'm just seeing
I
one
want
day on their website.
I want to read something
Okay.
from Healthline.com. And this is a common misnomer because typically when people do this, it is usually to lose weight. They claim it's for detoxification. Let me read this out loud. It typically implies following a specific diet or using this is about cleansing or special products that claim to rid the body of toxins, thereby improving health and promoting weight loss. However, the body detoxifies itself naturally and does not actually require special diets or expensive supplements to eliminate toxins. So you can't detoxify
Really?
your body. Yeah, you cannot detoxify your body through juice and things. If you were to just literally stop eating the toxins, you don't have to flush them out of your system. Your body will get rid of them
Interesting.
naturally. And these detoxifying things are literally just making you skinny. All you're doing is just not eating.
Right.
And then you end up losing weight because you're just not eating. So you're not actually you're not detoxifying. If you want to stop having preservatives in your body, then all you have to do is just stop eating foods with preservatives, and then over the course of a few days, once your body's done the full cycle and you've had your bowel movements and you've done all the pissing you're going to do, your body will have detoxified itself.
You know, my mom was really big into, when I was a kid, she's really big into the water, lemon, and cayenne pepper. Do you remember this?
Yeah, it was called
The master
what was it
cleanse.
called? The Master Cleanse. There it is. Yeah.
My mom was she was obsessed. She would do that shit all the time, and she would lose weight.
Yeah. No shade. That's low key disordered eating. No shade to your mom. But
Yeah.
like I had a roommate who was doing it too, who would do it. This is kind of how I got into the culture of juicing and cleansing because I had a roommate who would do it for weeks, and would come out losing so much weight. And I would be like, "Oh my god, you're so cleansed," and you're not cleansed. You're literally just you're what you're actually doing is starving.
Yeah.
Quite literally, you're starving.
Damn, homie. In high school, you was the man,
So
homie.
not to shit on everyone's detoxes, but you're just starving.
I mean, there is. I will say though, like when you like drink, I mean, it's probably the placebo effect. Like you're telling your mind, like, having this beetroot, orange, ginger, kale juice. Like I'm really, and again, you are getting the nutrients from these things, but maybe you, instead of just doing that, you should also be eating healthily as well. And you can be absorbing all the nutrients of the juice and also like the hard food that you're eating, the solid food that you're eating.
Yeah, when you give yourself when you fill your body with antioxidants and vitamins, you can get a boost of energy from that. But it's not. But you can also get a boost. You can also do that and have a full meal.
Bitch, you
You can
get a
also do
boost of
that.
energy from a donut.
They say apples give you more energy in the morning than coffee. I don't know if that's true, but I've heard it. So I should probably go. I've heard that. I've never actually Googled it, but I've heard it that an apple will give you Monet.
I love apples because of this reason. I don't drink coffee. I eat an apple every morning.
I'm screaming. I'm literally screaming right now. Belting. I'm belting is what I'm doing. But I think that I do have a really high. Okay, I will say
Libido?
this. in terms of my, well, not right now. Girl, my libido is in the dumpster. I have not done anything in weeks. So Jacob, when I get home,
I'm the opposite. I've been on
Jacob, when I get home, we gonna become the Flintstones, honey, because that bed gonna be rocking.
I've been vibrating at a very high frequency lately.
I've been really not I mean, just like no desire and not even masturbating. I'm just kind of like, girl, it's whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just tired. I'm really tired.
Right?
I'm about to say something. Oh yeah, I do think that I'm a little bit narcissistic in terms of my talent. I do genuinely think that I am more talented than most people. Honestly,
I can confirm. I can confirm this. I can absolutely confirm the truth of that statement. Yeah,
you do too.
I like I'm talented than most people. I mean,
what is that? What is it? And so do you, and you too. That's right.
I think it depends on what the talent is, right? Like, if we're talking specific, I don't know. I think we have to do an.
Not all. I can't draw. We all know I can't draw and I can't sing. But I think in terms of like just having a collection of talents, I do think I am more talented than most people.
That is such a Bob response.
Like I don't think I can sing better than you all. I can't draw better than almost anyone. You know what I mean? But to quote Liam Neeson, I have a very specific set of skills. You know.
You know what? We once talked about. I don't even say that because they're gonna be like, "Oh, girl, get in line with the other shit y'all done said y'all gonna do." Never mind.
Well, tell me about So, how do you feel about your talent? How your talent lines up in the grand scheme of the world?
I think there's so many people. I was like, I will say this. I was like, for every talent I have, I'm sure there's someone that does that can and probably does do it better than me. But I feel like as me, like mixing all the things that I can do together, I think that I am talented in my field. People who do all the talents that I do at the level that I do, I think that I am high up there. But one for one, every single one of my talents, someone can do it better and does do it better.
Okay, to be clear, I do not think I am the most talented person in the world. To be clear, I don't think that I am more talented than everyone at any of the things I'm doing. I'm asking if you think you are one of the most, like, do you think you're more talented than most people? Not do I think you are the most talented. Do you think you're more talented than most people?
I don't know how to quantify that. Like most people, there are how many people in the world? 8 billion people?
Roughly, I think maybe 6, 8.
So I don't know how to quantify that. Like most people?
That's the question. That's my question. Like when you walk down the street, how many of the folks around you do you think can sing better than you, are funnier than you, can do makeup better than you, can sew clothes better than you? How many of those people around you do you think can do those things at a higher level than you?
Not
more
many.
Than half of them?
Not many. I will say, but for each different skill, right? Singing, probably no.
How about at drag con? When you're at drag con and you're walking around, do you think to yourself, most of the people here are better than I am at like all the things that require you to do drag?
I don't think that. I think
so. You do think you're more talented than most people.
At walking around drag con, I'm like, I think that I'm one of the most talented people here for sure.
All right. Well, then I think we got to the bottom of this murder mystery.
When you walk around drag con, how do you feel about yourself?
I think I am more talented. I think I'm more talented than most people. I'm just going to reiterate that again. For the record, I am not being shy about this. I genuinely think I am more talented than most people. And it is what it is, my boy.
Okay, so if you get a ticket to, I mean, when you go to the Oscars and you walk and you're sitting in the Oscars, do you think you're talented than most of the actors there?
Maybe not at the Oscars. You know what I mean? There are times where I think I'm a really, really good actor. And there are times where I'm like, man, that scene sucked. But when I was in Angels, I was like, ugh, I am eating. When I was in Angels, I was like, I am doing such a good job. Because I was constantly getting reaffirmed by people whose talent I really respect. So when like Steven Spinella, 2-time Tony Award winner, is like, you're great. You're doing a really good job. And one time me and Steven were also in Tales of the City together. And Steven was like, you are just like doing such a good job. That's how you do a table read. That really gave me a big boost when this Tony Award winning actor comes to me and tells me I'm doing a good job. or when Tony Kushner is like, "You're doing a great job," that feels good to me. So I think
What about when I say you did a good job?
yeah, I mean, it's like that. I respect your talent. I think you're really, really talented. So when you tell me that I did a good job, I feel like I'm doing a good job. I mean, it does matter who the compliment comes from, right?
Yeah, for sure. For different reasons, right? From a parent, I think that has a different like would you agree
Well,
that your
depending on
mom
who the
telling you
parent
that you
is.
did a really good job? Right. Your mom telling you did a really good job in Angels, that's different than Steven Spinella telling you that, correct?
Well, yes, but for different reasons. So
Yeah.
my mother is whilst my mother thinks the earth thinks the literally the world of me, specifically when it comes to theater, my mother does not like theater. Compliments from my mom in terms of theater are very hard to come by. She does not like going to plays. When I was a kid, my mom would come to my plays, and on the way home, she would tell me how much she did not like the play. Almost every time. She go, "Ooh, child, that was just singing." I was like, yeah, mine was a musical. Ooh, that was just every other word was just singing, just singing, singing. And I'm like, well, mine it was a play. It was a musical, ma. But when it comes to comedy, my mom thinks I am just the funniest thing. Like my mother often calls me to tell me that I'm funnier than Bianca Del Rio.
Work.
Specifically.
Damn, mommy. In high school, you was the man. Really? Bianca, shots fired. The
Martha
Caldwells
Caldwell and
versus
Bianca Del Rio.
the Caldwells versus the Del Rios, honey. The
The
haves and the have
Haylocks.
not.
The Caldwell versus the Haylocks.
The Haylocks. There we go.
Um, but then again, like my mother doesn't like whenever my outfits show too much leg. She doesn't like when my skirts are short, which by the way, they're not really short anymore. Back in the day, my skirts used to be short.
Oh,
Pre-drag
your
race,
pussy used to be out.
girl, right at the edge of glory. But now I have gotten much more. I was looking at a picture. I'm like, I am very modest in drag. I am very modest in drag these days.
I feel that about me too. Like I feel like the older I've gotten more modest in how I want to like present my drag to people because also I just feel like I'm just older and I think about my body differently and I've definitely taken that on as an older person and queen.
Yeah, I mean, I still think I might have really great legs. I still actually think my legs look really great. What?
Being so silly, I
What?
am. Bitch might be naked. What are you talking about modesty? I'm literally the most modest person ever.
Not the most. No. Okay, let's talk about the world we actually live in. Money. I mean, I'm looking at your pictures. You're pretty covered. I'm going through your pictures. You're pretty covered in almost all of these pictures. Your drag is low key, girl. Girl, covered all the way down to your. Look at this. Look at the screen. But you're covered all the way down to your knees, to your wrist. The only skin showing is your face and your calves. Yeah, Monet, girl, look at you. This is modesty.
Is it modest?
Monet, you're covered all the
But
way
also
down to
my
your. I
ass
mean,
and my hips are covered. You know what I mean? Are hugged. Not every look from season 10 ranked. This seems shady. Not season 10.
well,
I
Monet was not modest here, but that was that was younger Monet.
I hate that
You
look.
do have your ass cheeks hanging out every once in a while. Your cheeks will be hanging out, but Monet, you're not that girl modest. I mean, you do have a leg sticking out, but this dress was very modest.
Yeah, honey, take a sip of that modest tea, honey.
So maybe you are more modest than you realize. You were trying to be goofy, but maybe you actually really are the queen of modesty.
Maybe.
Isn't it different in drag though? Because like a lot of the queens, like you have to wear hip pads and like tights and stuff. So you can
Monet
wear
doesn't wear
like
her
a
pads.
slutty look, but you're still like, but she still wears tights and stuff.
I wear fishnet tights and I wear a corset. So I'm oftentimes trying to hide my corset and my titties. So I can give the full fantasy.
But I mean the illusion of showing leg. Even though you're not really showing your legs, I'm referring to the illusion of showing leg. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there are obviously we know there are queens there who are like Robin. Robin
Fierce?
is showing she is showing her whole body
Is
these
she?
days. Yeah, girl.
I'm going on her page. I'm trying to see. No, she's not,
Like, girl,
Bob.
these are cheeks. These are literal cheeks.
Oh.
Actual skin cheeks.
Thank God for actual skin cheeks. Actual skin cheeks sounds like some type of some type of fucking product. Get you a nice bottle of actual skin cheeks.
I was thinking about engaging in a year of obsessing over my looks and seeing how I feel at the end of it.
What does that mean? Like paying to get really extravagant looks made?
No, like my physical appearance, like my day-to-day look. I was thinking about what happened if I spend a year obsessing over how I look. And I was trying to see in the end, how do I feel? Do I feel better or do I feel worse?
It's not gonna be sustainable because nothing that you're like passionate about like that. Like you mean like that means like if you're obsessed, that means you wake up in the morning doing a full regimen, watching face at night, doing a full regimen, then going to get facial, you're not gonna be able to sustain that because that's just not something that
Yeah,
you
but you don't have
enjoy
to get a
doing.
facial every day to be obsessed with
Not
your
every
to
day,
be obsessed
but
with
like
your
at
look.
least like once every 2 weeks, like to maintain.
Yeah, I can get a facial every once every 2
Or
weeks.
once a week.
I could probably do that too.
You can make that happen.
Yeah. And then see if in the end, do I feel like it was all worth it or do I feel like I wasted my time for a year?
Probably a little bit
I'm
of both,
intrigued
I
to
would
see.
say.
I'm intrigued to see how that would feel to me. Because I think that I don't think I've ever honestly been obsessed with my looks. I've never been obsessed with how people perceive me. Well, that's not true. I mean, I did go through a time where I was not eating, so I would be perceived as skinnier. But I've never been like only I've been obsessed with my body before, but never super obsessed with like getting haircuts and getting like even when I had hair, I would like even when I don't have hair, I would like let my hair grow out. When I should the other day, someone was like, "Oh, I see you letting your hair grow out," and I was like, "Girl, this is just because I'm being lazy. If you think I'm letting my hair grow out as some experiment, this is just because I've not shaved my head. I'm not just letting my hair grow out, girl. I just have not shaved my head yet."
Dewan gets a haircut every week. Dewan at the barber every week. Dewan is very, very, very obsessed with keeping up his looks.
Well, Dewan's very pretty, and
Dewan is very pretty.
It's paying off.
It really does pay off. Dewan is immaculate.
But how does it pay off societally? Like, how does it pay off? Like, I wonder how that how that I'm having a stroke. How that
Second one today
impacts how people treat him.
I think it does impact. I think people are often very when they meet Dewan, they're very enamored by how handsome he is, and people often remark on that. And I mean, we know this. People treat people that look good better. Like it's just a fact. Like people are just nicer. They treat people that look nice better. People that are aesthetically pleasing and attractive.
That is true. Or people who look like downtrodden. Like they'll treat you nice too if they feel bad for you.
Oh, Bob, it's okay. It's okay, baby.
But it can't just be like I don't think it's enough just to be ugly or like quote unquote unattractive. You have to like look like there's like
You're going through it.
In their mind, in their mind, there has to be something wrong with you for them to start treating you nice.
Yeah.
Which is kind of wild.
It is. Well, Bob, we talked about narcissism. And I'm happy that you're not narcissistic.
We actually stayed on topic pretty well this time.
We did. I agree. I think we did a good job. I love you very much.